Vivo claims that this is a professional photography phone, and they are not subtle about it. They even have it printed on top of the phone. Well, let's find out. The Vivo X60 Pro 5G is the mid-range device in the X60 series. It is sleek, it looks premium, and it feels very comfortable in the hands. Weighing just under 180 grams and at a thickness of only 73.24 millimeters, we dare say that it may be the thinnest phone you will get this year. The back cover is protected by a matte Gorilla Glass 6 with a nice gradient brush metal look. This finish makes it resistant to fingerprints, but from our experience, it can be slippery in the hands, but to our surprise, it is not. This could be due to the choice of material used for the aluminum frame and also the less rounded edges of the phone. Vivo has shown ridiculous attention to detail in the design of this phone. The metal power button has a knurled texture to it and provides a very distinct feel from other buttons. Even the top and bottom of the aluminum frame has a slight 3D curvature to it, but the label with the words "Professional Photography" at the top does seem a little bit tacky. We will come back to this claim in a very short while. Overall, the design of this phone puts some of the flagship phones to shame, and Vivo has really done a very good job in the design of this phone. The X60 Pro has a 6.56-inch AMOLED 120Hz Full HD Plus display, and it is protected by Gorilla 6 glass instead of the latest Victus. The 120Hz refresh rate is a nice touch, as it is the de facto refresh rate for most current flagship phones, but unless you are a hardcore gamer, most of us would not be able to take full advantage of it, as there are very little 120 frame per second content out there. The AMOLED screen is known to provide sharp and contrasting images, but the screen seems a tad more reflective than most other phones we have tried so far, and it can be a distraction. This could be due to the excessive space between the protective glass and the screen panel itself. The phone also comes with an in-display fingerprint reader. It works well and does seem quite responsive. Vivo's X60 Pro is powered by a Snapdragon 870G. This chipset is just an overclocked version of last year's 865G, something you can find in most mid-range phones today. From our CPU benchmark test on Geekbench, we got a pretty decent high score of 1025 for single core and 3361 for multi-core performance. This could be due to the 12 gigabit RAM. For the graphics performance of the Adreno 650 on our 3D Mark result, we are getting 4221, which is surprisingly low since we do have a 12 gigabit RAM to work with. Its result is only comparable to last year's Samsung S20, which runs on an Exynos 990. The result could have been pulled down by the less than powerful Snapdragon 780 processor. So, for heavy gaming usage, you do have to look elsewhere. On the wireless front, the Vivo X60 Pro adopts Bluetooth 5.1 instead of the latest 5.2, which provides less latency. It also doesn't support Wi-Fi 6, which can be a bummer to some. A pity the audio department did not get the attention it needed. The top speaker, which is commonly used for listening when on the phone, does not double up as a loudspeaker for music. So, when you are watching content in landscape mode, you will only get a mono experience from the right speaker, which is the one at the bottom. Audio sounded a little flat and the bass was missing. There is also no audio jack to potentially help improve the audio experience. A missed opportunity to pair with an already great screen that it has provided. Now, let's examine the claim that this is a professional photography phone. The Vivo X60 Pro features a 3-camera setup, which is essential to all flagships. It comes with a 48-megapixel 26mm wide camera, 13-megapixel 50mm telephoto camera with 2x optical zoom, and a 13-megapixel 16mm ultra-wide camera. The color seems truer to life and very little over-saturation and over-contrast. This is a good start, as many phone cameras tend to overprocess the photos to make the photos pop. It has also partnered with Zeiss for the main camera. The main camera lens uses Zeiss proprietary T-coating, which softens the streaks of stray lights from direct bright light exposure. As for the wide camera, it does have a weird distortion at the corners of the frame, but it can be easily corrected with a super wide angle correction setting, which does a pretty decent job. One useful feature we really like is the eye autofocus function, which is something that you can find on higher-end mirrorless cameras. From our test, it does really lock on to your subject's eyes quickly, but it will only work well if you are taking a medium close-up shot of your subject, and it will only work with humans. No luck there for the animal lover. There is a plateau of functions that are available to tweak your phones, and they are all quite functionable. Without having to rely on third-party apps, it feels like you have a little Photoshop right in your pocket. For videos, you can shoot up to 4K at 60 frames per second. It would have been great if the eye autofocus could also work with video mode. Now let's talk about the built-in gimbal technology which Vivo has on its main camera. It has been upgraded to a 3-axis gimbal, X, Y, and Z, instead of just the X and Y axis on the previous version. The gimbal stabilization is not very noticeable if the shaking is too vigorous. From our test, you can see it's only more noticeable when we consistently do short taps on the phone. The only scenario that we can think of is to mount the phone on a moving vehicle. The consistent light vibration from the engine or the tire friction from the road could technically be absorbed with this gimbal. Currently, many flagships come with very good optimal image stabilization and electronic image stabilization, and this could be a difficult sell as the improvement in videography and photography is not as drastic. Lastly, it comes with 4200 mAh battery with 33-watt fast charge capability, but it doesn't support wireless charging. The Vivo X60 Pro comes in 2 colors, Midnight Black and Shimmer Blue, and will also be available in 256 GB of storage and paired with a 12 GB of RAM. The recommended retail price in Singapore, 1,199 Sing dollars. So is this a professional photography phone? We think this is a sleek everyday phone that is well designed and takes decent pictures and videos. Thanks for watching this video. If you have any questions or suggestions, please feel free to drop us a message. If you like our video, please do give us a thumbs up. Subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.